Should be live. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to 40K Frontiers, episode 12, not your normal blokes. With us tonight, Sally's only got two of us. We've got Mr. Towse. How you doing, buddy?
Yeah, right. We do not have all of the normal blokes on for this episode right now.
Sadly not. We got the good blokes.
Yeah.
Though. We got the good blokes. And myself, Sam. Unfortunately, Ben anyway. So he should be joining, hopefully, during this live show shortly. And our beloved Korean Alex, sadly, can't make it with us tonight. But we'll be sure to cover his event recently. So the Korea SummerSlam #1. So we're talking about shortly. So, but before we dive deep in, Towse, how have you been? What's been happening?
So you put the Google document of what we're doing thing, and you'd auto-populated Donkeycon in the thing there, and I'm like, we haven't recorded a regular thing since then, so it's been busy, I guess, or weird, or full on. So, but good. So yeah, I had Donkeycon, which is our local shenanigans tournament, and there were many shenanigans. It was a good laugh. I wrote things down so I could remember. I have, as always, been making terrain. I've still got a little bit to go before Sunday. We're recording on Wednesday night. And I think I've chosen missions, got half the layouts sussed. I probably need to design and make some templates to help me set out layouts. And I'm providing armies for 2 players for the event, apparently. So I need to make some models for one of them. I think that's everything. Yeah.
Nice.
Oh, yeah. I think I went on stat check since I last came on. Did that also happen, Sam?
Sure, but just plug it anyway.
Episode?
So, while the WTC was running, you went on stat check with Nathan Henning and the Custody Cliff and talked all things math and good.
Yeah. I don't know if I talked a little bit about maths. I don't know if I talked good, but I definitely talked.
You talked good,
we went on tangents. It was a good laugh. So yeah, check out the stat check guys as well. They're doing good work. Their dashboard and stuff gets shared around all over the show, used by the network. Yeah. How about you, Sam? What have you been up to? Oh, hang on. No, I had something lined up for this. I also had a wonderful game against you, Sam. And it was a real good time. And what were you doing for that game, Sam?
Well, I guess my moniker has now become I'm a filthy meta chaser. It just happens this way. But we'll be talking about that a little bit later. Sorry, apologies. Like always, I forget to highlight what we'll be talking about on this show. So as Towse talked about a little bit before, talking about Donkeycon. So 1,000 point doubles event, but with a bit of a twist, happened in New Zealand. We also talk about some upcoming and recent events that happened in the Pacific region and around the world. So the Korean GT, SummerSlam #1. Then we have Rolling for Damage GT coming up this weekend. So the 27th of August, I believe, if math is correct. But this weekend.
Were we going to do a bit of a chat about Lakes of Blood that happened in New Zealand as well?
You smashed it, Lakes of Blood as well. But the main segment of the show, and maybe hint to what the title relates to, we have Liam and Dineeth from the Normal Blokes talking about all WTC Team Australia and how they did it at the World Team Championships. So stay tuned for the middle part of the segment to talk about that. But enough about them. Enough about all what's later in the show. Let's talk about me. This is me time, okay, right now. So
bandwagon boy o'clock. Let's go.
Yeah. So as Towse alluded to, I played against him with his Chaos Knights and playing some sisters. So an army I've sort of been interested in for a while, painting them nice and candy pink because I love some candy pink. It looks beautiful. But also being a bit of a filthy meta chaser as well, because
and
there are a good reason for it. Okay, there
also
are
very important. Very importantly, right? Annoying Ben, who doesn't like the candy pink, right? Is it him or someone else that hates the color?
Correct. Yeah, he doesn't like candy. He doesn't like candy paint schemes. I mean, it is what it is. I mean, people can have wrong opinions all the time. I mean, listen to us; we have wrong opinions all the time. But anyway, it doesn't stop us, you guys, from listening to the show. So that's what matters. So, but yeah, so painting my sisters a battle, getting some test games in. I'm roughly 6 games deep in with them. So. And I finally got some wins with them. So it's taken a little while. It took me 4 games of getting berated with Yannari, with Chaos Knights, with Nids and a Black Legion, and finally getting around to it. So I got 2 wins in these last 2 games, which feels good. Not what it's about, but it's just nice to get that sort of solid ground on your feet, just get some feelings back under your feet and start feeling good on things. So, but other than that, so just helping grow a local store. So locally in this community, we got another LGS who's looking to get into 40K, which is fantastic. And they have a slow community growing, like a 500 point, 750 point games and tournament little things. So tomorrow in Australia time, I'll be heading over there to help run its 750 point tournament, which is great. And then yeah, coming down from the Team Australia WTC victory. Spoiler alert for anyone who doesn't know. So yeah, it's been good though. It's been good. Getting a bunch of painting done, getting some games in, settling into the new norm. So yeah, it's been good. Been very, very good. Before we get on to the main topics of the show, we'll give a quick plug. So recently, the Best in Tabletop released, I guess, a new tier per se in terms of a merged tier. So in YouTube, if you want to subscribe to the premium feature, there is an option there. You can join both the YouTube premium and the Discord for $15 a month. Get the best of both worlds instead of paying $10 US a month for the Patreon or Patreon, which was the Discord, or $10 US for YouTube. Best deal around, best Warhammer 40k Discord going around, 100%, not biased at all. So, yeah. And then, obviously, also, if you'd like to support us, there's a merch store. So, Best in Tabletop /store is, I believe, the link. There'll be a link in the description for anyone who's doesn't know. And you can buy some merch there. It has some great singlets, some great t-shirts, some coffee mugs, some computer mats, whatever you like. It's probably there. And some sweet-ass headbands. I know I've got my order in, and I can't wait to wear it when it arrives here in Australia.
Have you ordered a headband?
I haven't ordered a headband. I ordered some coffee mugs, some singlets, and some good old Stomp 'em Good t-shirts. So hell yeah.
I thought you might have ordered one, so that it was like at least 2 ordered, one for you, and then one that someone else has ordered for Lennon. But yeah, I think that was a large portion of why that was made.
But no. Sadly, when I put like a little headband around this curly fro, I mean, it doesn't look so great. I mean, you may have seen Semi-Pro and what Will Ferrell looks like with a headband. Sam and headbands don't mix. Like, I can't pull it off. I'm no Will Ferrell in multiple ways. So, yeah.
Yeah. Who needs to talk first on the run sheet now? Are we up to that again?
Let's do it. So, this part...
other Alex is going to talk. Easy.
Yeah. So this past weekend, we had the Korea SummerSlam #1. So the first big event, GT sized in Korea. So it had 21 people all up. And it was the biggest, largest 40k event for themselves. So there was 6 rounds, and it was a great event, great day. Our very own Korean Alex went to the event running Custodes, the Golden Boys, and on screen for our video viewers, we have some pictures from the event. So some beautiful, beautiful, beautiful pictures. Some really nice terrain and well-painted armies. And obviously we had Soo-Hoon and Demetrius on previously to talk about Korean 40k. And, well, let's see it in action. And it's great to see community growing bit by bit and slowly getting there, which is fantastic. So, yeah. Anything you would like to add, Towse?
Not that I can immediately think of. I'm like slightly trying to work out what's happening with like the blood, so I can pretend to be organized. But yeah. I think Alex went along. He did all right. I think he was maybe hoping to do slightly better with middling results. But yeah, he has had some. He's yet again like switching around how he's running his custodies. It's cool though. He's always got like strong opinions. He had some fun with Cotiers, the like who like slams the no fun allowed. You don't have enough CP for that stratagem button. He didn't gotcha people, but just like even with warning, it can really screw stuff over. But he wants to take a paw. That's largely what I remember. And he's just gonna like mad lad spend half his CP on an outrider detachment, I think, and then the other half on upgrading his bike captain. I think is his future plans. So Trajan's going to pay for his own. No, I don't think he even has Trajan. He's just like, yeah. Anyway, crazy stuff. Yeah. So yeah.
Fantastic. And yeah, I heard like Cody has is like, for anyone who doesn't know, basically it costs an additional CP once per battle round, once per turn. You call once per.
I think it's a once per game thing. And so it's like it's a bit like Vect, but like once per game, and it's the stratagem costs 1 more to use this time. And if you can't pay that CP, you can't use the stratagem. I don't know what happens to your existing CP that you're trying to spend, but anyway.
It gets used. It gets used quite enough. It's pretty rude. So so also highlight. So this was highlighted on the Thursday show, hosted by the lovely Paul Murphy, Justin Henshaw, and the one, the only Adam, the great Camilleri, the late and great Camilleri. So and yeah, so like they talked about it on the show. Yeah, Inquisitor is a jerk. Like I've never heard about him. I've never seen him on the tabletop. Man, just be able to like if you only have 2 CP, try and interrupt. Like, nah, it's going to cost you 3. You lost your 2 CP. Good job. That's pretty rude.
I hope Noah doesn't get upset about me mentioning this, but he shared with me a list that he's going to run. It's got Cody, isn't it? And like man, there was some. It was funny. This is a friend of the network, Noah Bodome of Aegis Games, and he was joking about how like if he's playing against Blood Angels, and they go to full on Fury, he's just like, "Nah, man, you got 1 CP. It costs 2. No full on Fury for you." It was
death company everywhere.
yeah, that was deeply amusing to me. So yeah, Cody can be a jerk, but he means you can't take it before the witch. Cool.
Yeah.
What's next on the run sheet?
Yeah, so
help.
this weekend in down under 40k time, we have the 27th, 28th of August, we have the Roll for Damage GT, and so I wanted to highlight this event. So for some context, so the South Australia boys, so the people who run and host Adelaide Uprising or Uprising Adelaide, so the biggest event in Australia. They hosted this GT called Roll for Damage GT. So it used to be called something else, which sadly I can't remember, but unfortunately, last year, one of the great members of the South Australian community, and Andy Damage Penn, who was an amazing Orc player, and he actually won the event, funnily enough, this GT, which the name replaced 2 years ago, or actually, sorry, apologies, a year and a bit ago. So this is the first time Roll for Damage is being hosted. He won this event last year with, funnily enough, like it was the first event to use Speedwire, basically. It was like the first initial times when Speedwire was coming out with Freebird Orcs, and
absolute degeneracy.
Yeah, so that was funny enough. So like this is like before, like I think the Org Codex sort of got released. So it got released, and like people were sort of figuring out. And, like this is the first time it got hosted. And people are like, oh wow, cool! Look at this all buggy list for freebooters. This is so sweet. This is so cool. And, like,
call an ambulance, but not for me.
So Andy Damage Penn. So he was running to my understanding, he was always running Orc buggies, like just an absolute mad lad out of the South Australia community. No matter how good they were, he was always running them, and just a great human being on and off the tabletop is always what I heard. So so this GT is being hosted in his honor, in his name. They've got a cool symbol and stuff for him, and they're just doing a bunch of fundraising for him. So and on the screen, so you'll see some of the faction breakdowns. So it's actually 72-player GT in South Australia, which is fantastic. So a 2-day event, and some of the South Australia's best and brightest coming out to play, and Adam Napier. Little shout out to him. So so 72 players, as you see from the faction breakdown, 15% of being Necrons, so a big meta shift there in South Australia with Necrons, a bunch of Nids with 7%, and a bunch of all the other top meta armies happening there. But I wanted to highlight this event because the South Australia community this week has been nothing but fantastic in sharing all these memes leading up to the event, because the TO, Simon Vickers, absolute legend, one of the TOs for Adelaide Uprising, was going to release pairings on Wednesday, and the context is he didn't release it like first thing on Wednesday. So the whole South Australian community went to town on Simon Vickers and released some amazing memes about all the pairings and about how everything is happening. Just all the fun stuff. So it was fantastic. And sorry for audio listeners, you can't hear them, but if you'd like to go back and watch the audio video feed, you can see some of these fantastic memes about what will happen. So fantastic. And it's going to be a great event. So really looking forward to seeing what happens throughout. There's all the memes just relating to how everyone's meta chasing to Necrons and all the other fun factions throughout town. How some people are playing Imperial Guard instead of maybe the meta chasing Crons and Chaos. Do
we have the Solar Pulse in here, Sam?
I sadly do not have Solar Pulse, but some mad lad who's running Magnus to red and looking for the right Lord of War, but using the Simpsons wrong barbecue meme. Fantastic, and just endless hordes of things. So just absolutely fantastic. And if you'd like to join, there's a South Australia Facebook community. You can see all the memes. It's just absolutely fantastic, and I couldn't go without shouting it out.
I think you should go check those in the Frontiers chat in the Discord, Sam. Then people can find them more easily.
There we go. Boom. Even a better way
also, I wasn't paying 100% attention, but I did sleuth through and assume that it is the Adelaide 40k Grand Tournament in 2020 that Mr. Damage Pen, is it? Andy Damage Pen won. And because that was won by him with Buggy List. I assume that'll be the event. So
that would be him, yeah. So
cool.
And so
the Adelaide 40k Grand Tournament is now what is it? The Roll for Damage event. So yeah.
There you go. Cool. In chat we have Aiden asking, so what is the best cheese list? I mean, whatever Adam Napier's running, that's definitely has to be it. So it's just some CSM nonsense.
Aiden, I got it. You run Towse, you go Storm Surge, you go Shadow Sun and a Supreme Command, you go Ethereal with Hover Drone, Long Strike with the Burst Cannons, triple Hammerhead and a Spearhead detachment with the Burst Cannons, and a single Berserker Crisis unit with Max Plasma, Max Shield Drones, Max Shield Generators. That comes out to, what is it? It comes out to 2,000 on the nose. I got bored with Battlescribe and wondered if things could fit, and have upset some friends.
That sounds
That's my best
woeful.
answer.
Absolutely woeful, but I guess we'll allow it, sadly. I mean, the lovely Aiden has suggested Storm Surge and Million Crew. That's basically the exact same, right? 100%.
Yeah, sure.
Fantastic. So, next thing I want to highlight, so this past weekend in South Australia, apologies, South Africa, so Cape Town, South Africa, we had the Sword Con 40k GT. So it was a 5-round event in Cape Town, South Africa. And yeah, 28 players, 5 rounds. Fantastic. Good job getting some people there in South Africa playing some 40k. We'll try and get those guys on, try and have a chat to them. So yeah, just wanted to highlight a bit of a remote event. Shout out to those boys. So
hell yeah.
Sweet. Yeah, and for our live listeners, we're just about to take a break. So you can join us with some WTC interview with Liam and Dineeth. And catch you guys.
Are we going off now, Sam? I don't know what we're doing.
Yeah.
All right.
We'll up now.
So is this for like this upcoming weekend? Like, so a couple of days time, yeah?
Yes. Yeah. Also, Storm 40k happened this past weekend, and then Rolling for Damage.
Yeah, so Rolling for Damage is upcoming, but it's big. So, okay, yeah. So for
Yeah,
what our like handful of people still here, my event is also this weekend. Cheers, Sam.
Well, I mean, we can just highlight it afterwards. So
yeah, I'm messing with you.
I didn't think it was this weekend. I thought it was the weekend after.
No, it's this weekend.
Good friend, eh? Good friend. Really
That's
good
why
friend.
I was trying to.
Oops. We should have chucked it in the notes. What are we talking about?
I thought you. All right, when are we going back? Are we going to just like stall for a bit, hope that Ben appears?
3, 2, 1. All right, welcome back. Thank you again to Liam and Dineeth from the Normal Blokes for chatting all things WTC and all the prep work heading into it. So a lot of work. I mean, a 55-page document breaking down lists at minimum. A lot.
Yeah, I questioned Dineeth's definition of cheat sheet. Like, that feels like cheat like binder or cheat ream, like the full thing of paper. Sheet's like one thing, dude. But yeah.
Yeah, it's close enough. I mean, if you study both do your doctorates, surely like a sheet is a bit more than your regular A4 size paper. I'm sure their study notes are pretty in depth. So, but anyways, if you guys want to hear more content, so those guys have like everything WTC and Team Australia have just gone absolutely insane. So the Normal Blokes have released a recent podcast. So Luke was interviewing Eric and Liam about how things WTC Team Australia went. Contact Lost, the Polish boys. So shout out to Tomic and Joker, who did a podcast interviewing Liam and Dineeth about how those guys went, and also just recently did an interview with Adam Camilleri. So talking about the Merc side of things. So Adam Camilleri joined the Warhammer Undivided team and hearing about all his experiences. And then also we got Arbor Down Under, who just really interviewed the top 3. So Germany, Poland, Australia. So interviewing some people from those countries and how they went into the event and like some of the philosophy and pairing process behind it. And then last but not least, a very local one, so Down Under 40K. I was doing an interview with Eric and Jeremy Martino, so should be talking about all the pairings process and how Australia approaches it all. So if you guys want to hear any of that, just in the comments down below, there'll be links to the description. So yeah, if you guys want to hear more about that.
You missed one in there, Sam, because Contact Lost have also got an interview with Jaime Paris. That might only be on the YouTube rather than the what are called podcast feeds. But yeah, so those guys have just been like going crazy because the 2 hosts, Tweak and Joker, are like in different continents or something, so they can't sync their times up. So they're just going like, well, you interview this person, you interview this one. So they're like smashing out content. We had them on. They're a great laugh. We've chatted a little bit in like the organizing messenger chat, and it's been great. Yeah, obviously Normal Blokes and all the other stuff that Sam mentioned. Yeah, I just threw something anyway.
Great, Towse. Great work. So we have a comment in the chat. So other than Australia, who was the big shock win loser from the tournament? So referring to the WTC. What do you think, Towse? Who was the big shock win loser?
Hang on. So I honestly didn't pay masses of attention. Some of the few things I got was so obviously Aussie won. It was the Aussie Poland final. Then US and UK were the next two, maybe not in that order. Is that about right?
So Aussie, Poland, Germany, US, England.
Okay, yeah. So I don't know. I've heard like Canada did quite well, like or better than expected, maybe like sort of punched up a bit because they were in ninth, I think.
You are correct. Yeah, the ninth place,
Yeah.
the best ever performance to date.
I have, yes, that's awesome. I have mixed feelings about Scotland's lackluster performance because on the one hand, like, haha, Ennis didn't do well, but also, oh, Chris didn't do well. So that's about what I've got from stuff. I have no useful insight to that because I got hyped that the Aussies won, and that was about it.
Yeah, I mean, what else? What else happened? I'll just be the stereotypical American right here. Obviously, shout out to American pals; they're all the best. But who else cares about other than Australia, right? Like, trash. No.
Yeah. Honestly, like, can we just say Aussies are the biggest winner for like smashing it with the best sports score while winning best singles and best team? Because so if people haven't picked this up, and I think Liam said it on probably like 4 different podcasts at this point, but so the Aussies won best. So Liam won best at the singles, right? He won that, and Morrisoli came third, only losing to Liam, another Aussie. The Aussie, so they win overall. And they got damn near half of the teams to vote for them for best sport, right? So like this is of the teams at the event. They played only 7 of them, right? So they had almost twice as many teams vote for them as they played. Like they were such a good influence around the whole event that everyone's like, yeah, those guys, we didn't play them, but man, they were funny. Yeah.
So there's some hilarious stories, and so also Chris Haynes, so of Can Hammer fame. So Can Hammer did their own talk show about how Team Canada did. So Jeremy Atkinson, so Curie, Nick, and Francois. So shout out to Francois. He just won his first ever large GT. So he won the Capital City Bloodbath. So congrats to him. And then Chris Haynes. They talked about WC Canada, and so my understanding is actually they found that they tied on sportsmanship was Canada and Australia, but the Australia won on battle points is what Chris Haynes explained it as. So, but either way, that's still incredible, and that's the first time I think we know of where someone's won best sport and got first overall, which is normally never heard of. So, congrats to those boys.
I think what happened is like they tied, and the Canadians were just like, oh, sorry about that. You guys clearly should have won.
Sorry about
also,
that.
yeah. Thanks for like making it an even less subtle joke there. Oh, Nurgle in the chat. I have got an answer for the biggest loser of WTC, and I'm gonna forget who. I'm blanking on who it was. I think it was Typhus, right? The Polish captain. Whoever had to suck Morosoli's big toe. There was a bet made, and yes, Morosoli's athletic, just like pristine condition big toe was enjoyed by a member of the Polish team after some sort of bet. Oh, and let's say Anthony's the biggest winner because he also there was a bet where he now needs to get a Team Australia tattoo. Anyone that has reason to contact them, get in Nathan's DMs and ask if Anthony's got the tattoo yet. That is the correct procedure.
Yeah, it's at least been like 4 weeks since, and he still hasn't got a tattoo. Absolute scum. No, he's a good lad. So, but yeah, to answer the question, I think because obviously Team England won the WTC event last year, and I think obviously they came 5th, so which is still reasonable. I feel like it's just a bit disappointing. Like the 2 losses were pretty big, so they scored 57 and 65, and I want to say they lost to Australia and Poland, and they're relatively big-ish losses. So I don't know. I think it's been a bit harsh to say the biggest losers because they still performed top 5. I think biggest winners. I was pretty happy with Netherlands. Like Netherlands, I think they obviously historically performed relatively well, but I thought heading into the event they attended 4 nations, and there was like some other team tournament in the UK, and they built it up, and I thought they did very well, and I was very excited to see how they did during the event. So I knew a lot of people sort of didn't rate them as well, and I just want to say, yeah, they did much like top 8, number 8. So congrats to them. And obviously Canada getting their best ever performance, and they absolutely put so much work over the lockdown with TTS scrims against Poland, Germany, Northern Ireland, and Wales and stuff like that. So they put in so much work, and it just shows that the proof is in the pudding, and like a lot of hard work and dedication gets you places. And arguably without some of the better or well-known players in Canada being Alex McDougall and Dustin Henshaw. So, yeah, I mean, congrats to Canada, and they'll be a force to be reckoned with for many, many future years.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So, have we skipped a step in our plan here, Sam? I'm lost and confused. We've been doing
no, we're all
stuff.
good. So,
okay, cool.
Now's your time to shine, Mr. Towse.
Now's my time. Are we yarning about Donkeycon?
So this weekend or so ago, you attended Donkeycon. So a 1,000 point doubles event. What the hell is this shenanigans? So
okay,
and with a fun name. So please tell us more.
Have you got all the photos that I actually took for once?
I've got some photos about Donkeycon. So from the Mr. Event Organizer.
I put like a whole bunch of them in the group chat. Have you just ignored that as well as the fact my event's coming up?
I've got some of you. So just go tell the story.
Okay.
Tell the story.
No, but I gotta call you out on it first. So anyway, Donkeycon is run by the always lovely why am I blanking on his name? Always lovely Chris. I really hope I haven't blanked. Anyway, Tio's a great guy. I am not a great person for forgetting. And he basically every year runs some sort of nonsense event. It is a great laugh. Show up with like the right, just some sort of semblance of a list, and you get a bonus donkey that you need to create and convert, or get bonus points for converting. It is a whole lot of fun. And so this year, the idea was it was mixed doubles. So so you bring along 1,000 points, and you get a random teammate on the first round and 2 random opponents. And then from then on, there is a pairings system, which I do in air quotes because it was done with an Excel spreadsheet and hopes and dreams, because like there's not pairing software to do this, where basically the top performers get paired up with the bottom performers, and then like sort of it runs down in some semblance of a plan like that. So the idea is like, it should be sort of even, and you can have people help coach people through and that sort of thing, which I think largely worked pretty well. I definitely had a good time myself. Yeah, I had some good comments, people coming up saying they enjoyed things. It led to some really, really entertaining scenarios for us locally, because there was what looked like a top table with 4 sort of top quarter-ish players of any given events field. We're all playing at the same table, and you look over and go, oh, this must be top table. Then you click in your head, hang on, this pairing system is like you get the top players with the bottom players against top players with bottom players. And if there's 4 of these people here, basically a couple of guys were doing their submarine pilot's license, and they were chasing after some deep thoughts with the deep. So that was funny. There was anything else relevant to remember? I returned the toilet seat. That is the perpetual trophy for the event. Complete with zip ties to patch it together, applied overnight. And I got my name on it for the 3rd time, so I came in 3rd. My buddy John came first, so he was first 2-time winner. And I'm being a terrible person and blanking on who came in 2nd. A lot of stuff's happened. All right, I'm going to use that as an excuse. So yeah, it was a great laugh. And slightly more relevantly, on the same weekend, there is now an okay time to transition, Sam?
Absolutely.
All right. So there was some hilarious painted armies at the thing as well. Like there was I am Groot. Oh, because everyone had to have a war name. So that was funny. So like you had sort of a pseudonym to be at the event. There was I am Groot, which is a tower army where everything was Groot, and the objective markers were like sushi rolls. That was one of my favorite things that was there. I just want to shout that out specifically. So like the battle suits had like Groot piloting them, and you can see the heads. So yeah, at the same weekend though, there was Lakes of Blood, I think, which is held in am I going to blank? I have it somewhere open in a tab. But anyway, it is an event in the North Island. There are a whole bunch run sort of by the Kraken lads, I think. it was at minimum. They provided the terrain, so nice solid terrain. And it was held in Rotorua in the North Island of New Zealand. So it was a 40-player event, I believe, with 5 rounds. I'm not quite sure who the winner overall is coming out on DUP, slightly different to who I expected. But yeah, Sam, do you have anything to confirm this, or are you able to just like fill for a little bit while I try and like double check?
Yeah, that's fine. So I have the winner being. Oh, I guess it depends. So I had Liam Herbert being the winner, but so event a couple of weeks ago, it was a relatively large event in New Zealand. So I had 40 people, which is fantastic. So I had actually it might be something different, but anyways, I had Liam Herbert being the winner overall with the most battle points and wins per se.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, so 5-round competitive event. It was pretty cool, and yeah, we saw in that like a lot of similar, basically like what is shaping up to be meta lists and factions performing sort of how you'd expect. So, yeah. When's Ben showing up, Sam? We're struggling here.
No, he's fine. He's fine. We're all good. So we had a question in the chat. So Aiden asked, so regarding Donkey Kong, would it be possible to get the rules of this event? I'd love to play it in Tasmania.
Wait, hang on, someone's asking for the rules for Donkey Kong.
Cool. Who would want to play Donkey Kong?
Okay, so if someone wants to play this, I genuinely think it was just the spreadsheet. So the TO like tried to make it up as best as possible. So everyone had like a donkey sensei was what it was called. There were 4 rounds for the event because there was heaps of time between rounds, which made it really fun and really chill. So that there was a bunch of time for okay, there's 4 armies to go through, and you got to work out all the nonsense and all that. So there was the air donkey, earth, fire, and water donkeys. So like the Avatar elements. And so you got to choose one of them every round. And theme of the tournament, I roll to randomly decide it every round. And so there was like a custom secondary of that was you get up to 20 points, which involved like killing opposition donkeys, bonus points with doing it with your donkeys. That's basically it. Then you chose one of your own secondary from literally any book in the game, which was really funny. So there was like To the Last or While We Stand We Fight as options. So the character or the model or the anyway, Chris did not care, the TO. It was like, do what you want. Stop asking me questions. Then the other thing that was a really nice touch was that you also got 10 secondary points for whatever your opponent scored on their secondary. So it was sort of like everyone from the game walked away with their own score, but you were incentivized to try and help your opponent achieve their secondary. So that was cool. And yeah, after that, it was just like everyone's got a score. Highest scores up the top, lowest scores at the bottom, some sort of like pairing system to like approximately have even scores and then match accordingly. That's the gist of how the thing went. I don't think there was actually much more in the way of rules than that. If you wanted to do the mixed doubles, I assume. Hopefully that helps, Aiden. Yeah, and so player spec does sound like it would be helpful, but yeah, the event's definitely about like come along and have a laugh more so than the typical GT thing. So it's really great for if that's what you want. I got called out by one of the local I lovingly dub Old Man Dan, who because I was saying my event was going to be a nice contrast, being just straight GT as expected, and get called out saying, "What does that mean, Towse?" Which I managed to cover. I said I wouldn't be able to compete with Chris for all the shenanigans.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
We have a beautiful person saying, I have slow building army of Imperial Guard built around Thomas the Tank Engine. So, I mean, it sounds like Thomas the Chad Engine, if you ask me. I mean, that sounds amazing.
What you need to do for that is you need to have it be Trader Guard, and you play it with a Corn Lord of Skulls, and you put the like Thomas the Tank Engine head on where the cannon is for the Lord of Skulls.
Fantastic.
I asked local commission painter who was doing at least one of these for my buddy how much he would want to glue on a Thomas the Tank Engine thing on the front and paint it blue, and he said too much. But I was tempted to like spend a bit of money to troll a friend.
Hey, what more could you possibly want to do with that? Buy groceries? Nah. Buy good supplies? Nah. Trolley moment with a little toy soldier? Absolutely. So, absolutely. Guys, we got to the point of the show where we got taking questions from the audience. So we would be remiss to say, obviously, Mr. Towse this weekend is hosting his first ever tournament. And along those lines, we have a person in chat asking, Towse, have you had any sticky questions to rule as a TO just yet?
I don't think so. I have been pretty she'll be right in my attitude towards this thing. I think one of the few questions I've had is because of my players back, I put a thing about like proxies versus and WYSIWYG and something, but I didn't really have a conversions policy. So my buddy who's just converted lovely Abaddon to out of the Slanesh Sigvold or something, the dude from Age of Sigmar that's like the Prince of Slanesh to run as Abaddon specifically with his Emperor's children. He's like, Rainbow Man okay? And sends a photo. And so, yeah, that was all right. I think that's maybe the trickiest question I've had to deal with. Or something about like Yanari secondaries. I've had a couple of minor things. But, oh, Sam's going to pull up the photo. There we go. Couple of minor ones, nothing too difficult yet. I am hoping it should be relatively chill. I have managed to get even numbers. I believe everyone should have paid. I've almost got everyone's list submitted. I've made trophies and all that. Yeah. Sam, are there more questions?
Didn't you say that someone wanted to play over the 2,000 points limit for fun?
True. Yeah. The same dude who's Lord of Skulls I was trying to get converted sends me a message and say, hey, can I no, first it was like, am I able to ignore the what's it the stupid 1 CP tax. Ben's here. Anyway, the 1 CP tax for relic things from Forge World. He wanted to get a pass on that so he could run Abaddon in a Supreme Command, a Falchion or Fellblade or one of them, and 2 Lords of Skulls, I think was what he asked to run. And I was deeply tempted to like do something dumb for this. And then he sends another question saying instead, oh, but what about instead if I go 25 points over and send some other like 2 super heavy, 1 something else list? To which I was like, all right, this is not memes anymore. How about you just come up with a legal list? So yeah, that's those I think are some of my difficult questions thus far.
Yeah, it sounds like I can't remember the name of the Comedy Central show, but like where the points don't care and the questions don't matter.
Oh, yeah, the points don't care and the questions are made up.
Yeah, that's
best
the one.
Thing I had like that was best thing I had was my like year 11 French teacher who like would have these group games to get us all the groups to do something anyway, and he would get the colored markers out and make a big deal of like, oh, there's colored points, so they're worth different amounts, and the whole class is like, oh, trying to work out what everything's worth. It was just making up the numbers, the final scores at the end himself. Yeah. All right. That's my tangent for now. Ben, how you doing, mate? What have you been up to?
Mate. I've had a busy night, mate. I've been watching my daughter perform in a showcase. It was
it a filibuster contest?
Was it what?
Was it a filibuster contest?
I don't even know what that is.
It's where like the American politicians like it was a witty joke, Ben. It's where they stand and like talk for ages to delay the floor. So you know,
I just derailed your jokes for ignorance. That's just the way I like it. Just the way I like. What the hell is happening in New Zealand that you've got people trying to go 25 points over? Like what's running through their brain at that point? You know, oh, unbelievable.
Well, like his buddy's got triple Storm Surge submitted, all right. So like he wanted to run triple Super Heavies, but he's got the 4 ones that have the tax. That's basically what was going through the head there. Also I could definitely recommend. It might not be sustainable, but our local, we've had amusing comments from a treasurer chasing people up for like, hey, what was this payment for? And since I can mostly work out who's going and the payments, I basically put instructions on the players pack to, you know, if you feel like it, put something funny in your like in your payment description for the event. And so that was to me, that was really quite funny. There were some pretty good ones in that.
Tim knows.
Yeah.
But fantastic. So Benny Warrior's joined us. So anyway, after your claim to fame, you've hit the highlights. You've joined the FLG network and appeared on a star-studded show, and then you've come down to the depths of us. How have you been, buddy? What's been happening?
I feel like I'm back at home, lads. That's what it's all about.
Okay, so what happened is he got on Grim After Dark, right? But he really wanted to be on Mob Rule, so he's just like, right, we're gonna dive down. He's landed like back in our show in between, trying to go all his way down to Mob Rules.
Look, I'm not gonna lie to you. I was gonna make the joke, and it just totally lost my mind when they started bringing the memes out, and I was like, oh, here it is. And then, then we started rolling through, and all of a sudden it was the end of the show. So it was amazing. So it was, it was great. I can't complain. It was great for the lads to have me on. I mean, Mob Rules would have been way better, like that's obvious. But I was happy to contribute to ruining Casserole Night, basically.
You would have been able to give the correct Aussie greeting as dubbed by one Matthew Morozoli, right?
Oh,
if it were on Mob Rules, it doesn't fly on.
Yeah, exactly. I could have done that.
Yeah. Man, so Sam's got to keep up. What show are you going to bandwagon onto, Sam?
All of them. Just all of them. But why would we go anywhere else? Why not stay here at the best show on the network? We'll claim it. What a buy.
That's right. Agreed.
But yeah, so we have some questions submitted from the Discord before. So we have Tim, the sorcerer, the man, the myth, the legend. Certainly something we couldn't answer during the Liam and Dineeth interview. But should Australia take some inspiration from Poland and amend our singles tournament formats to better produce WTC trained players, e.g., use WTC terrain and differential scoring? And also chuck this over to you, Towse, and I guess we can answer for the wider meta. Do you think maybe this is something we should look into more and maybe address or implement more fundamentally?
I actually got a joke answer that's pretty good and an actual answer that's hopefully reasonable. So now Aussies are fine. Just like lock your list in for singles, 3 minutes before it's due. Go and win that with 4 terrible Ghost Arcs. And then go ahead and win the event anyway. You don't need just practice with a bad list at the War Master. That's your WTC practice sorted, and then go and win the thing. I don't know. Obviously, if the Australians are able to win WTC, right, then they could get up a little bit. But obviously, what they're doing is working pretty well if they're to win. As far as wider meta, well, my event, I've based my terrain designs somewhat on WTC stuff and vaguely on their layouts. So, I mean, there's something to be said for going for that.
Benny, what do you think? Yeah. Do you think we should try and amend our singles to maybe be more differential scoring and maybe use more WTC-based terrain? So, for the most part, comment. So we sort of use some player-placed terrain, apologies, TO-placed terrain. So we use a bunch of terrain, and then we use some Uprising Adelaide stuff, which is kind of a blend between the UK tournament circuit and sort of Adam Napier's own creation, which is a bit more like U-shaped ruins and a bit of GW-esque in a sense. So, what do you think? Maybe we should go more WTC terrain and use differential.
Well, let's talk about terrain first, right? Because you could really get in deep with this. I might put a Towse on this. But so with terrain, I feel like it is you're pushing it. I think it's the problem is the WC terrain works really well when you play a map, right? And you play teams and stuff like that because you've got the gradients there, and it's not so much. But it used to be before Ninth, all the gradients was in light, medium, and heavy, and now it's more like what keywords you have on the table. It seems to take more precedence, and I feel like in singles, unless you had special maps, because I know the WTC used Wayland Yutani maps, right, which aren't the same maps, are they? Do you know what I mean? So they're not the same team maps. They're made by the same people, but they're separate maps for singles. You couldn't use those WTC maps for singles, I don't think. I think it would create way too much skew, even if you had every table the same. I feel like some of the terrain rules are really different when you get into the intricacies of the game, as expressed by Liam talking. I was talking to Eric the other day, and he said that about putting the where you put your models and stuff like that. And Liam was talking about when he played on one of the many podcasts he's been on already, about when he places his models ready to shoot. So you kind of get to stick in the middle. But I just think it's a lot different, and I think that you need to be. I think you'd need to use the Weyland-Yutanis maybe or something like that. I don't think it's great. I don't think the team maps are great. I think the terrain style is fine, but there's a lot of terrain for a TO to create there. Like on a WTC table, there is a lot of terrain. Like at least with like at the stuff that we use generally, that you don't need quite as much because they're bigger, and because the WTC table isn't in the strength of the size of the ruins, it's about how many and at what angle they're put at, right? Like, yeah. Anyway, I'm done with terrain.
I can definitely confirm, Ben, there is a lot of terrain to make.
There is so much terrain, man. Like I've done it. Like it's just we've done it. Like it's just nuts. So, but I think the differential thing, I think it actually would shape the way people would make their lists a lot differently because basically what you're doing is making a draw even more common, right? So you're making 10-10s like super common, and then those points will make a difference and stuff like that. Like just 11 nines make a difference. Like you saw people go like Liam Hackett lost the game and still won. Do you know what I mean? So like I think that's not right. That's not right. I think I like the separation between the two personally. So
yeah, I think it's an interesting question. So I'll just do a little bit of a tangent, like a Towse special tangent. So friends of the network, so best in tabletop TNG, so the next generation. So Tyler, Lucas, and Noj, they talked about actually training on their most recent episode. Talked about the pros and cons of each style, being GW layout, player place terrain, TO place, being like just whatever you have around, and they sort of orientate it as necessary. So if you guys want to hear more about that, definitely check them out. Great show. From some West Coast US players, sort of understanding what their views on things are. So, but with WT, and I think Ben Wise nailed it on the head, as a TO, like WTC train is a lot. It is an absolute lot to invest in. And as sad as it is, like on the horizon, there may be 10th edition, and we have no idea what the game's going to be played out. It's going to be a real shame. Like, I don't think they're going to do this. I don't think it's in the benefit of Weyland-Yutani, who do sort of the WTC maps and those WTC singles, and as well as other providers to sort of have this amount of terrain for this edition, and then at 10th edition, just scrap it all and restart again for a new game. And
yeah, so I'd love to add on to that, please, Sam, just really quickly, is we made about 15 tables of the old style WTC terrain, and then they changed the whole lot. We painted it up and everything, and then we had to do a whole new kit. So
yeah, it's really hard. Like, it's a real shame when you spend all that time, money, and effort into painting something up and is basically almost useless. It's a real shame. Like, it's not useless. Like, you can still use it for casual games and stuff like that and donate to someone in good need. But for like, if you want to practice on it, it's very hard. So, but I think to answer the question, I think it depends on what your aspirations are. Like, what do you want your community to build on? Like, what is your focus? Is it to be like Poland and focus all year round on the WTC and that's all that matters? Or is it maybe focus on singles, heading to maybe some like LVO sort of equivalent event? Or is it to prepare, obviously in Australia, we've got Uprising Adelaide, and we would be wrong to prepare for that using that sort of train style. So it's a hard question to answer. It just depends on your local community. I think when Tim asked about differential scoring, that's a question I've been asking myself locally. So we have some small RTT events, and like one good way to sort of differentiate, I guess, quote unquote, the better players from the worst is maybe that differential scoring and saying how high you score up. Because yes, you can score a win, but like a 99 to a 90 point or 99 to 90 point win maybe is not as good as like a 99 to a 40 point win. But the question is like there's a multitude of answers. Like, does that create some feels bad? Because like an RTT, this is sometimes someone's first beginner event. I don't think you want someone at the first time event just getting absolutely pump stomped because someone wants to get a 20-0 win. And so it's hard. I think for some events, sure, like where it gets to a certain level, using that differential as like a factor of a sort of ranking system or scaling is probably pretty useful, but it's tough.
So just going off back of what you just said, Sam, like as well, when you're saying about people just going for the turbo hundreds, right? They're just like going nuts for them. And that's almost like when you get really, like in Australia, sometimes you can get 5-round events, which are like 80 to 90 players, right? And the only way you win those 80 to 90 player 5-round events is by getting hundreds. Do you know what I mean? So people, the top players and I've like they bring lists which just steamroll, like alpha and steamroll a little bit, or even if it's just on the scoreboard, it doesn't have to be like damage wise. And they just score all their points and just get hundreds, and that's how they win. That's how they got to win it. You can't be going scoring like 89s, 80 or like 85s and stuff like that if you want to win a 5 rounds 80-person event.
I mean, this is like the UK tournament circuit for a while had the events like that where they were like 5-round massive people and they cut to a top 4 after like round 3 or something about like that. Maybe it was round 4, and so everyone was just like, yeah, if you didn't score like 100s in all your games, right, you're just like, oh, good luck.
Yeah.
You've got a lottery to try get into whenever the top cut was, and I think they've sorted it now.
I think the differential just makes that environment, and there was a lot of horror stories from that, and it was 5 rounds, Towse. So it was 8 rounds, but they cut after 5, right? But this 5 rounds out of wasn't it like 200 people or 200
something
plus people?
like that, yeah.
Yeah, so it's like 200 people. You've got to get like what was it, a top 16 or 32 or something like that. That's like a lot of.
I think you can have like.
That's not many people from like 200, is it?
Yeah. Also, yeah, like, thanks guys. It's real reassuring as I've just made like all of my WTC based stuff that you're like, yeah, I don't know about WTC ruins. It's real fun sitting over here.
You'll be fine. You can use it whenever you want. Like, it's always good fun.
I know, mate.
You can always use it in multiple ways. So, I guess a follow-on question is maybe is the answer to just run more team events. So
it is.
I think locally in Australia, at least in my region, like people are pretty happy with team events. They enjoy that format, and to develop those WTC trained players or the team event trained players, yeah, I think we would be silly not to. That appetite is growing and people are loving it, and it sort of balances the meta in itself. Like we've talked about team events for ages, so we're not going to go deep dive into it. But if it's an unhealthy meta, like when one codex is absolutely overpowered and crushing, at least you can adjust for it in team events. It's only one of them, right? There's only one of them you have to prepare for. Whereas in a singles event, if you lose to it, you're out of luck. Or if you don't play it, you sort of sometimes can lose. So I think it is a good answer to it, and I think there'll be more and more appearing, both in the Australia, New Zealand region, and maybe definitely elsewhere in the world for sure.
Yeah, maybe also just like shorten round times. You don't need to be good, just be fast or something like that. That's the story of the captain or something, right? Yeah. I'm just third hand using this joke at this point. I don't know how it works.
Just make them 1,000-point games. Just 1,000 points, best of 3.
Yeah.
Do we have chaos? Anyways, so this weekend, gentlemen, the Demon Codex is finally coming out. Like after 5 weeks of GW releasing it, saying it's on the horizon, and teasing us, we have it out this weekend. So heading over to Benny Way first. What are you most looking forward to in this next Demon Codex?
There's going to be piles of salt about this save. Like it's already there, and people haven't even played against it yet. Like the community's going nuts. But I am actually looking forward to maybe potentially looking at my demons. I have dug a few out actually, having a look around, seeing what I've got. But yeah, I'm ready to like get a bit of a like the meta's like really balanced and stuff at the moment. It's really fun to play, but give me some of that Demon Codex shake up. I don't think I'm looking forward to anything particularly in the book, apart from maybe some sort of crazy psychic game, and just a different style demon army. But I think I'm mainly looking forward to the shake up it's going to give, because I don't know if it's going to be there's not been any leaks. It's like they've all just turned off, right? All the leaks. So I don't know if they're going to be like overpowered, or or if they're just going to like slot right in like CSM did. You know what I mean? And they're strong, right? But they're not like breaking the meta. Like that's what it should be like. So hopefully they do that again. And it just slots in and creates another problem for everyone, because that's what's so good. There's so many problems, you can't deal with them all, right? So.
What about you, Towse? What are you looking forward to in this next Demon Codex?
I don't know. It'd be cool to see like corn demons actually be neat. That feel like maybe see bloodthirsters on the table and be like, oh, rather than just like, hey, cool, someone's wasted points. Like to me, it feels like I feel like you'd struggle to find people that are upset if corn demons became good. But I'm not sure. I don't even know if we're gonna like locally. I'm gonna see that many of them. So yeah, I look
Most
forward
people
to
haven't seen that in their lifetime, mate. That's why you don't even know. No one's
seeing
even
what
experienced
demons.
it. Yeah, like black corn demons be good. They haven't been good for
Yeah,
forever, have they?
Not even
I don't know.
Yeah, Warhammer Fantasy Battle 8th edition, right? Were they even good then? I don't know. I just knew Chaos Demons were very good in Warhammer Fantasy Battle for a little while. But yeah, I guess
Have you got demons, Sam?
I don't yet. Maybe in the future.
Hey, here he is. Love it. That's what I was waiting for.
There's the
back a
yet.
little bit.
You just stole my joke off me.
I do have, funnily enough, Bellicor. I have Bellicor. The model's just too beautiful not to own. And I have some Age of Sigmar Khorne stuff. So I have a Bloodthirster and I have some Khorne Bloodletters. 3 Skull Crush. 3 Skull Crushers. 9 Skull Crushers, which are the cavalry dudes. And then I've got 3 Skull Cannons, funnily enough, which can operate. Yeah, I do. So
of all the units you'd have, got 3 max skull cannons.
Of course. Why don't you? Just got to prepare. You got to pre-meta.
So I reckon I've got 30 bloodletters, about 120 plague bearers, probably about 80 to 100 pink horrors. I've got no blues because I sold them. I've got no Slanesh at all. I've got some Seekers. I've got a couple of Seekers, and I've got the that instrument one. I like the harp one, the flesh harp one.
Oh,
it's just a sick model. I can't remember what it's called. But yeah, I've got that one. So I've got a few little things, but I've got like a heap of stuff that I never got round to building, which is just been sitting in the garage, just like looked in the tub. I was like, oh, we've got some stuff in there. A couple of start collectings. So that's good.
I have 6 Furies.
That's still not bad because they're not even that easy to get.
I'm pretty sure I got them for last year's Donkeycon.
Nice. Beautiful.
Yeah,
I
got them for some nonsense.
Just in time. But yeah, I'm excited. I'll be looking forward to see the Doomings Codex because not since the start of 9th where they had the Keeper Spam rush and the Slanesh rush where we really see demons around. I know obviously in your local meta, Ben, you had the lovely George who played Slanesh all the way a little bit, and some places of the world still plays Slanesh for whatever reason.
He still plays it. He goes nuts.
Yeah. So it would be nice to have demons have that time in the sun, right? They've waited a long time, and same with guards. So it'd be nice to see when they come out. And I'm excited to see the diversity and sort of that little soupiness because it's almost like 4 factions in one, right?
Yeah,
and like see how all the towers interact. So I'm excited to see how that all happens. But I guess we'll have to wait and see when the previews come out this weekend.
Yeah.
So, but also talking about previews, and we sort of had a little hint in the chat. So Nova Open. So Nova Open in the USA is happening just over a week from now. And there's going to be a big GW reveal as it sort of is. What are some big hype? What are some big expectations we could probably expect? Maybe starting with you, Towse, if you have any speculations or hints. We have Aiden in the chat talking about hoping his beloved Guard Codex comes out before the Leagues of Votan.
I don't know. Yeah, I would have just had the boring and uninventive guess of squats, something squat related. But yeah, they could preview guard somethings. I don't have good answers. I don't know. I have given that like there's so many delays for stuff to get to New Zealand, it's just like everything's fake until it actually like immediately is here. Because Demons Codex is out next weekend. Oh, okay, cool. Well, it's not gonna. I wonder if we'll get any. Is usually where I'm at. So I am not the person to like worry about rumors, channels, and chase all that sort of stuff. Yeah.
I guess we'll see. I expect. I've heard some ramblings in the warp. I've heard that Votan may come out before Guard, which is a bit rough.
Yes, I was going to say that. I would love that massive troll. That would be like the best thing GW could do. Like that would just make me. I'd like belly laugh. I reckon. Like hands on. Whoa, I just love that. That'd be so good.
And then they have Guard drop, right? And then immediately it's like, all right, boom, 10th indexes.
White Dwarf
Guard gets the codex for 5 years and then 5 weeks.
And then maybe.
Hang on. They can reveal Marines 2.0.
There we go. Maybe we'll have to wait and see.
We keep forgetting there's all those supplements that have got to come out, right?
Yeah. Maybe Angron. Maybe Angron gets finally officially revealed.
Yes. That's what I want.
Next Loyalist Primarch, maybe.
Or I'd love them to bring the like I'd love them to bring the Lion back, or even Khan, or anyone. But I think I would love. I don't think it's very likely, but I'd love them to talk about the old world, and what that has to bring. Maybe just a bit more snippet interview information about that would be cool.
Old mate Val from the Frontline game, FLG network he's corrupted you, Ben. With the Warhammer fantasy chat.
All about that life though. That's what I first started off with. So I could just slip right back into that very quickly.
Yep.
That's probably the only
Just
thing that would
slot
tempt me
right
away
in
from
rank
40K,
and
I
file.
think. Yeah, that will rank and file. Like they've got to do it better though. I think like there might be Primarch stuff, but I do think you might see some like Iron Primaris range soon. You know, like a couple more Primaris units. Honestly, do I don't see why we're not far away from that. I feel like we haven't had any for ages. Like I think there's going to be like a Terminator-esque model or something coming out soon.
Yeah, probably.
Like,
isn't Gravis meant to be the Terminator equivalent? I think it's the jump troops that we need, right? Because didn't G-Dub fire a bunch of their playtesters or something like that? And they were like, all right then, if you don't not having us, but like, here's all the stuff that's coming out, and dropped a whole bunch of leaks. Did something like that happen? And they leaked Primaris.
I think there was something like that. Because I think in 10th edition they said it's going to be the starter set, right? Like, which is going to be like a new, and they reckon they're going to make. Wasn't there like a rumor they're going to make Firstborn like a supplement kind of thing, as well? Not like a buy supplement, or even just like a sub chapter. So you have to take mono Firstborn if you take Firstborn. You can't mix them in 10th. Like, that's legit. I reckon they should legend them, to be honest, but that's a very unpopular opinion. I'm just throwing it out there.
Yeah, so then you could, instead of the term being like the army got squatted, the army got firstborn.
That's it. Just take squats are back, baby.
Too good.
Yeah,
that was fun enough. Like one of the jokes talking about Leagues of O10. I'm just waiting for the model release. I was just like a dead squat. I was like, just get squatted, like to the meme upon itself. The Leagues of O10, just in a circle meme becomes full circle. But yeah, we also have another.
Oh, I was just going to say quickly oh man, have I forgotten what I was going to say? So maybe they need to remove Firstborn Marines from like Codex Space Marines, because that might be what's causing the Warhammer like army building app to be so problematic. Just being like, oh no, we need to have all of the space set aside for all of the Marine data sheets, then all of that nonsense. Because like I know that was the problem for Battlescribe. But yeah,
I thought they were going to legitimately just get rid of them in 10th edition. So I think the fact that they're getting something is just a bonus for the people, you know. So
yeah,
what can I say?
I guess we'll have to wait and see. But also, so we have a question in chat. So with the recent CSM Codex, we've got an FAQ, and it was less than half a page. But surprisingly, there were some things that weren't addressed. So, guys, so what do you think will the next go-to be if there was a CSM FAQ? For me, funnily enough, I was surprised Creations of Bar lived. I thought that would be gone like anything else, noting that Dark Harlequins got destroyed.
But they don't do that in a FAQ. They will do that in a balance update.
Is that where it happened for?
Yeah, and you won't get that in an FAQ. You'll only get that in the balance data slate. So that will happen. I reckon it's like 90% happening, and it will happen in the data slate. But I also think we might get something to Leviathan Nids as well.
Just like make it mini transhuman on infantry, please. No. What do you mean no? What?
Just don't do it. It's just they're just Archangel Terminators, but better and cheaper, and better in just every way. You know,
hang on,
that's all it is. It's not even a big deal. No, but that's what I think they'll do. I think they won't do. They'll do baby transhuman, because you still have Hive Nexus, right? So it'll still be good. So like, but you then baby transhuman is just useless, because you're never wounding a Tyranid warrior on a 2, right? So
excuse you, sir. I've been wounding them on 1s over here.
Well, you've been running 2,025 points too, mate. So anything goes over there.
Excuse you, sir. I said no to that. No,
All right,
actually, no, they're tough 5, aren't they? I don't think I've ever got up to that. But like,
Anyways.
there's stuff that's high strength plus 1 to wound. Oh, Sam, you want us back on track?
That's right. Well, unfortunately, we have to close things up. But before we wrap things up, we'll answer this last question. Would a Warhammer Fantasy release diminish the 40k tournament scene? I got to start with myself. I don't know. I think it will diminish some things. Some people want to go back and play some official GW-approved rank and file. Maybe it will diminish a little bit. But I think the 40k scene now has grown so strong and it's developed. I mean, it's been a number of years since 8th edition was removed or no longer supported officially. So I think you'll see some people go back that just maybe weren't happy with 9th Age or weren't happy with Kings of War and want to play rank and file square bases again. But I don't know. It's a bit hard. We'll have to wait and see. We'll see what the old world happens. So, yeah. What about you, Towse?
I don't know. I kind of want to make some joke about like, nah, the people that are leaving aren't real fans, but I don't know. I've basically just done 40k because rather than get too invested in different wargaming hobbies, I've just like branched out into other hobbies. And if I want to do something like this, I'll do Warhammer and like make do with it. So, I mean, personally, it won't have any influence on me, but I could imagine it'll probably. It depends how it goes, right? Like, if you end up with tournaments at the same weekend and competing, it'll diminish it a bit. Otherwise, it'll probably just have people, going to what they want, and yeah, you'd get more people coming into the overall hobby space coming back, and then maybe they might branch out into 40k.
Yeah, see what happens. What about you, Benny? Do you think people will come back? Do you think some 40k tournament faithfuls will join the old world?
It's good. It's going to just depend how good it is, isn't it? Really, and maybe how bad 40k is by then. You don't know. It could be a bit of both. Otherwise,
maybe Leviathan will get super transhuman. We can't win them on 5s.
You never know. Yeah, that doesn't seem good for the game.
No, can I only win them on 5s? Yeah.
I think that it's probably going to do more damage to Horus Heresy, if anything, right? Probably, maybe. I don't know. Because I don't see at the rate 40k is growing, Old World, if they come in and make it into like one of the best games they've ever made, then yeah, potentially. It could happen. But they've got that's such a long time away, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah,
it's at least 3 Space Marine Codexes away.
No, because that's like 18 months almost. That's like 2 years. So I was thinking, what about 3 Imperial Guard Codexes away?
Oh, you're saying it's further away than that? Oh, okay.
Yeah, it'll take ages because you've got to get the game good. Like Age of Sigmar's like probably flourishing more in the last year and a half. Like, well, take COVID away, probably the year before COVID and now, isn't it? Because they're just kind of still figuring the game out a little bit. So
turns out if you make nice enough models, people will tell you double turn is good.
They are amazing models. Like I've been looking at their scale and stuff. Like, whew, it's good.
All right, before we get sidetracked, we have to wrap up this episode. Thanks everyone for joining
Sam.
I'm settling in, mate. I just got here, so I'm like, let's go.
So this next episode, the next episode on the horizon, just a little sneak peek. We've got the beautiful people from Team Iceland to recap about their WTC experience and also talk about what Iceland 40k is like. Is it battling it out with the dude from Game of Thrones just constantly on a day-to-day basis? We'll find out. So until next time, have a good one, everybody.
Oh, see Tim.
Oh, you go Towse, time.
Mate, you keep closing off without me being able to ask. I was going to plug my own event. Are we also going to be trying to get the South African boys on for a thing? Are we going to? Yeah, cool. That was it. That to look forward to too.
Awesome.
Thanks, guys. Have a good one.
See you guys.